Hi, I'm Karla Ekatherine Canseco, and this is my first solo show. The show is called Ensoñación Fugitiva, and that basically translates to fugitive daydream. Daydreams are kind of fleeting, but also like the idea of fugitive as like runaway dogs. And it's a daydream just like in terms of like almost like an alternative word for disassociation. So the way in which like children may disassociate and kind of create this like fantastical reality in order to kind of cope with whatever's going on. The work is basically like the surrealist landscape of like love and care with kind of these other creatures, and how I think that my first relationship with learning how to love and care is through an animal. Like I didn't feel like I had a super intense access with that or like verbalized access through my family. So I began to take care of an animal the way I wish that I would have been taken care of. The work is essentially like a landscape that I'm creating that's like almost based off of memories of like me and my dog. This is my best friend, you know, I would take her everywhere, run around. And some of the smaller pieces, I like to think of them, and even some of the bigger ones, as material poems. So I kind of just start making and see what's happening. A lot of times I use a lot of different clay bodies, clay that's already been fired, porcelain, into then like groggier bodies. Basically, if I don't throw away any scraps either. If I'm working and I like scrape something off, I save all those scraps. And then when I'm building, I'm sifting through them, looking for shapes to then insert back into the clay. I'm also like inserting metal into the clay. So I just like to kind of give it this like more rough feel. It doesn't have to be super precious. Yeah, and I'm interested in the relationship in which the clay kind of also talks back, you know, like when it cracks or if it starts slanting, things like that.
Tell us about some of the hanging wall pieces.
So in the back, I have two tile pieces. They're basically like Talavera azulejos. My family is from Atlisco, Puebla, and Talavera is really like abundant there. It has a long historical reference to it. Also with that, the style of the tiling, it has a long kind of a colonial and like migration history. I've been always super into it since I started working with clay. And I've made the tiles and integrated them to my piece, and so it felt nice to kind of put them back on the wall. And then there's a metal kind of like plaque that sits there. I like to use the materials in ways that people don't always think that they can be used. So I like graffitied into the metal to kind of also show that like metal in itself is also super malleable. I think that's why I work with both materials. I think that they have like similar lifespans, but they just work in opposite directions, where like metal, when you put a lot of heat on it, it turns super malleable. Whereas like ceramic, it's very malleable, but you put a lot of heat on it and it turns really hard. So I'm kind of interested in that conversation too.
Tell us about how art has changed your life.
I think being like a part of a community of people who are really weird and sometimes, you know, when you're younger, kind of ostracized, to see that like we have like a space and people want to see what we're making and like hear what we have to say has been really special. Like it's super empowering to see my friends kind of doing their thing and me doing my thing, and it to not be this impossibility. I mean, many people know art has been reserved for very specific people in certain classes and from certain backgrounds. So to kind of see different elements coming into play, for me also like building, you know, my family, like I've been helping my dad build walls and like, I don't know, restore our houses and tile our houses. So to kind of see that knowledge, I see it in my work. I see the way I work and how I'm able to build because of this kind of something that's been passed down to me. That's really special. This is Flaquita. She is my second dog lover. I found her on the street running. She was just a puppy. Yeah, so my first dog too. I never chose them, they chose me. Like literally, I didn't go to the pound. They just kind of, I encountered them. And so I find that very special. They're like my guides. Right, Flacas? Flaca also refers to king. Right, king? King.